I hate to say it really doesn't matter which device you are assigned, because it's going to be like you have all the devices tomorrow morning when you get your data back when you're going through it. So again, I usually have you guys try to show up early so I can kind of get a gist of everybody. So that's why I'm able to pick on Amelia so far, because I already know that she's a little nervous about being here. So, but again, thermal imaging, I'm going to be doing a quick demo. So what this guy does, obviously, what are we looking at here? We're looking at heat signatures. So why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt? No, opposite. Ghosts are cold. We're looking for cold spots, yes. So you guys should be able to see me in there, right? Red, orange, and yellow guy. Sorry, all you fellas, but I'm the hottest thing in the camera right now because I'm the only one in the camera right now. So with that said, we're literally looking for the blue and black spots to start moving on their own or to take shape. I look for pretty specific cold drops, anywhere between 15 degrees or more. So I will spot check this video for you when I'm going through your data tomorrow morning. But there's also a blue dot that's going around the screen, giving you the coldest frame spot in the frame at that particular moment. That's kind of helping you direct the eye of where the coldest spot might actually be in the frame when you're watching your video. So I have it set up that way on purpose. I also left the center crosshairs on there so that way the user can actually pinpoint it of something specific that they want to measure. Is that fair to everybody? All right, so Mr. Walt. That guy's going to go to you, sir. You're going to hold it horizontal all night long. Yep. We're going to do a few starts and stops on this camera. Your fingers covering the lens. All right, so
now it's recording.
Perfect. So I will give you the starts and stops for the recording, because if we record for too long, the software for that thing sucks. We're going to lose a lot of footage. So, but yeah, we want to keep it on right now.
Okay.
So do you have a red square or circle?
He's a square.
Perfect. So that means you're recording.
It's recording.
We're
I
going to
can
keep
see
it
the
going.
timer running. I had no idea you were this.
Go walk.
Yeah, I know. It's over
there. All right,
there.
guys, go have fun. Walt's in charge. No, I'm kidding. Don't go anywhere. You guys don't have gear yet. All right, the second camera.
No.
Yeah, a little Ghostbuster looking thing, right?
Because it's one of those things where your
I
fingers
know.
right there.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
That's
PKE meter? Yes, I know the technical term from Ghostbusters. It is my job to know. So you should not be able to see me in this little tiny GoPro camera right here. So basically, it's pretty dark. We're going to turn on some lights here in just a moment. Ta-da! Lights you cannot see with your own eyes. This is infrared lighting. The hope here is that we're going to be able to capture something we would not be able to see with our own eyes. So we have an accompanying item that actually goes along with this. It should be in a purple or pinkish hue at this point when I passed it back around after turning the lights back on. But again, this thing loves to capture orbs, which is super awesome when we actually capture them, because I can debunk them or prove them really, really fast. I've seen tons and tons of false ones and positive ones. But at the same token, the next item is going to accompany this item. So Mr. Eric, this one's going to go to you, sir.
Dude, you're completely blue.
I'm blue.
Ice cold.
Yeah.
I'm the ghost.
This is the neuralyzer from Men in Black. None of you are going to remember
Weak.
anything by the time we're back. But we record everything, so you'll be fine. Lasers. The reason why we use lasers, we're looking for motion through the camera that I just handed over to Eric. You can't see the lasers till something actually passes through it. So in the event we actually capture on film something passing through it, I'm obviously going to give you the still to show you what we actually caught in there. We're going to be using two different styles of lasers. The second one gives us red squares. Why do I want red squares? In the event we capture something right here, I'm going to take that still and put it in 3D software and be able to see a 3D view of what we caught along with measurements. So I've had this guy almost a year, and we haven't had anything that the software will take yet, but I have caught anomalies going through it. So Margie, these are both going to go to you because they always go to an adult, because lasers can get in a lot of trouble. So you're going to keep the laser pointed at the ground, and the tip of it's always going to be at your toe, and that goes for both of them. When you're using both of them simultaneously, you don't want to cross the streams, right? Ghostbuster joke.
We
Again,
know that.
Sorry, guys. So
it would be
you
bad.
want to keep them side by side. Why? Because that's going to give us a full array for the ghost to be able to actually go through it. So this one's on a toggle switch, so once it's on, it is on. You have to be very careful, so that way you're not pointing it in the wrong direction. And this one, right where my index finger is waving, that's where the button is. So go ahead and get used to those. We're going to talk more about that at the first location.
See the cold and temperatures.
Let's see. Spirit boxes. We're going to be using several different types of spirit boxes tonight. So what are spirit boxes? They're communication pieces so we can talk to dead people. It's super fun. So that's why you guys are all here, right? You wanted to talk to dead people. Lauren's like, yeah, do it. So this guy is going to be, if you're familiar with the TV shows, this is basically where the white noise comes into play, and then your host will tell you what he thinks he heard and put it up on the screen for you. We're going to be doing that in real time. The difference with mine is that this one is actually slowed down. I want the radio chatter to come through. If you're listening to the history I'm going to give you for 2 hours, plus 2 hours of white noise, Lauren's going to fall asleep. Just so you guys know, it is that drowning out. When I say I want the radio chatter to come through, I'm talking about song lyrics, DJs, commercials. If you can make out any of those type of things, no matter what type of voice it is, I want to know what you hear. If you hear Welcome to Charleston or Buy a Kia Today, I want to know you heard Welcome to Charleston or Buy a Kia Today. This one is going to record for us. That's the cool thing. Lauren's going to have an earbud in, so she's going to be the only one to hear it in real time. So the recording, obviously you can't mess with it. You can turn the volume up and down as much as you want to all night long. It comes out even Steven. But I'm going to spot check it tomorrow morning and give you about 15 to 25 more markers of things that I find, whether they're relevant or not. That way it'll help direct everybody on how to actually listen to this type of recording. So I don't want earbuds back because your earwax is your own souvenir. Lucky you. So you'll have to undo the twist tie to your earbuds. Your volume button is right here where my finger is. It's a wheel. Right now it's turned all the way down.
You gotta tell us everything.
This thing keeps giving me worms.
What would you get?
I've had like So wait, check this out. This car's been off for a while. And look underneath it.
Oh yeah,
the heat from the car.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the most.
The rotors are all hot.
Yeah, look at them.
Yeah,
See?
they're red hot.
I feel like that would be the most fun one to have.
The flare camera. I
You
know.
guys coming down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I know.
cool. I've never actually used like a thermal camera before.
Yeah, I've used them at work.
I could not.
Yeah. We-
Alright, so now that it's much quieter over here, we're not going to be here for very long. This is where I get to show 10 people how to use their devices even further. This is why I told you guys to hang on to your questions. I'm going to pretty much answer them all right here. But first you need to know where you're at. This is the big red barn. This is where we keep the horses for your carriage rides. They are inside the building, which is why my voice automatically lowered and why we use earbuds with spirit boxes. They don't like the white noise, basically. They'll kick them at a wall and scare the hell out of all of us. You would think I would do that on purpose, but no, it's not fair to the horses. So the history here is super simple. This is the same red barn that had horses that delivered milk to the resident of 1860s and 1920s. So that's the only history I have. And I use that very simply so that way we can explain the representative places. Spirit boxes. This is not a Ouija board. This is not television. Everybody wants to ask the same question when you get a communication device to the dead. And that question is, you want to guess? Kind of. Is anybody here? Right? That's what everybody wants to ask, especially when you get a Ouija board in front of you. Is anybody here? They wait for it to go to yes. Right? But if somebody says no to Rochelle, that means somebody's here. So we are not going to be asking yes and no questions all night long. Whether you are a skeptic or a true believer, you will not get paranormal evidence out of yes and no questions. We're going to be going after the very big specifics. That's why I give you certain keywords like 47 giants. You guys got the gist over there. Over here, it would be obviously delivery, milk, eggs, barn, anything relatable to a horse or stable. So in this space, I would normally tell spirit boxes that first-time users, you would ask questions you already know the answers to. For example, if somebody's here, tell me what color the big red barn is. Obviously, we're looking and listening for the color red, and I say looking because Wayne actually has a list. He's not listening to anything. So the rest of you are using song lyrics and DJs to convey messages back to us. The word red might not be available to that DJ or song lyric, but fire truck, blood, heart, those three things are specifically red. I would actually take that as an acceptable answer. What color is the big red barn? Blood. Be good with that. However, most of the night, I'm going to require two somethings to be going on that are going to see what's going on. To be able to verify what's going on. Another example. Let's say Wayne's device actually has the word art on it in the middle of the screen. It doesn't mean anything by itself, but Lauren actually hears the number 40 at a first spirit box. By itself, along with art, makes sense here. Why? Art Faircloth was number 40 on Big John's team. Do you guys see where I'm putting these clues together and how we're going to be doing this all night long?
What position would Big John play?
I'm not a football person, to be honest with you. I know he was on defense. What do you have? Weird. No shit. That's pretty cool. So, it says defense. That's all I know. He was Big John. So, very interesting that showed up already. Am I going to count that as evidence just yet? Is it weird that I just said that he was on defense and he already had the word defense? Yes, very uncanny indeed. another clue, possibly John's jersey number, his last name could pop up. That's happened in the past. So all kinds of things could occur with that. But I'm going to definitely count that as our first clue. Many of these people I'm going to be talking about tonight are going to be from the 17 and 1800s. They all have the same damn names. Georges and Charles, Eliza, a lot of them. We need to know who the heck we're talking to. So, Spirit Boxes, I hope you have a much better gist of how you're listening or what you're actually listening for. Again, song lyrics, DJs, commercials are mainly what's going to come out of those that are listening. Let's talk about the cameras. So, I want to start with Mr. Walt. You're doing a fantastic job, by the way. Nice and steady. So, first thing, there's 3 different cameras out here, and yes, that does include Mouse's digital, camera of pictures. People do not like their cars to be filmed, and people don't like to be filmed themselves. So if I do an Andy's Coming from Toy Story, that means we're going to basically act casual. You'll stop taking pictures. You're just holding a cell phone at that point, and Eric, you're in the perfect position, because I normally tell people just point it at the ground when we are recording. So, well, you're going to try to do 2 things for us. You're going to try to keep one of us in view, though, even though we're going to try to omit everybody else. The reason why, we're going to be the warmest thing out here. We're going to be 97 to about 99 degrees, maybe 100. But the reason why is that gives us that array of color on the screen that allows us to see those cold spots much easier.
Yeah.
The other thing you're going to try to do is keep the sky out of view. The reason why for that is the blue dot will default to the blue sky or the empty sky because there's no surface. That's what it's looking for as a surface. So some of these spaces that'll be impossible. Just do your best. All right, so as far as the 2 of you with your camera, Margie, go ahead and point one of your lasers down on the ground for me. Perfect. So, Eric, what you're going to do is not point down at the camera or at the lasers, because we already know that they look like stars and squares. Okay. Basically, you're going to step a few to the side, and you're going to be shooting this way. We want a nice even camera, so that way we can actually see the anomaly moving through the laser.
Pre-programmed.
So that's like a perfect height, because we already know what they look like this way. And you're not recording yet. I like to let that thing get used to the temperature because it's very temperamental. There'll be certain spaces where lasers are going to be out of the game just because it's a matter of like where we're allowed to use lasers at, just so you know. Everybody else, I think, as far as the EMFs, and I do have to work with Amelia at the next stop with her motion sensor, so I usually wait to do that there because it's a little bit more in depth. So, questions, comments, concerns before we move on into real history besides football players and ponies?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Mine's not scanning, like the stations.
You broke it already. Did you have the recordable one? Yes, you do. So, scanning, recording.
Okay.
There you go.
Awesome.
Perfect. Has anybody heard anything yet on your Spirit Boxes? I know yours is turned down, Michelle. You heard anything on yours?
I've just been going on and off just because I've been listening.
Okay. Yeah, I know it's hard to listen to me and that at the same time. Like, it's very difficult. You guys have to shut me up every once in a while. So I say, Nick, I'm listening.
So you'll let me know when I come to take pictures or whatever?
You're free to take pictures all night long.
Okay.
But if I do it, Andy's coming, like somebody's walking to their car, because some of these spaces we're going to is because the other ghost tours won't go there because there might not be anything to see. It's kind of like this space where there's somebody's vehicle. But yeah, take pictures all night long. We never know what we're actually going to capture from random photos. I am expecting hundreds of photos from you, just so you know. The SD card is empty. Selfies get eliminated, just so everybody knows. Yeah. All right, let's go deep dive into this one. All right, we're going to go this way.
Enjoying this day?
It's pretty cool.
I knew you would.
I get the cool tool, FLIR
Yeah.
camera.
Trey, how you doing on yours? Have you heard anything? You can't hear me at all. Have you heard anything out of yours yet?
Just loud static.
Let me know when you hear voices.
Keep hearing snippets, but it's so quick I can't get like what it's
You
saying.
can.
Is there a volume?
It's already preset because it has an auto noise canceling, so they have to be balanced. So trust me, it'll start getting loud when something actually pops through. Like that layout.
How am I taking
Take pictures of everything.
Of everything. Supposed to be taking pictures.
Get it work, man. What are you doing?
Take pictures.
All right, so welcome to our first part of our true investigation now that everybody has a basic gist of what your devices are going to be doing for the night. This is a beautiful space in Charleston, is it not? Another parking lot. So this space actually used to be something very important to Charleston, as a matter of fact. This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. It actually sat in the front of this space. Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant over here to my right, and then it actually came all the way across the lot by itself, and we were standing in a circle and slave quarters for the whole thing. So who the heck were these people? I guess first and foremost, spirit boxes. I am not going to be giving you questions like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the red bar. You will get the answers from the spirit boxes because I am going to withhold information purposely. I don't want any subliminal message going on tonight. So with that, Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Charleses. That's why we always look for secondary clues to find out who the hell it is we're talking about. The son and the nephew were sitting with the Constitution of South Carolina. That's a pretty big deal for us, but I need context for everybody here. So we're going to move on. Is that fair? Yes, okay, great. So, Eliza married Charles at a young age, according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her later on how old she was when she got married, you're not going to hear numbers like 12 and 14. It's going to be around today's standards. The only reason I bring this up is because Charles, her new husband, was over double her age. You might get either number. It happens all the time. So, she married him because her father, over in England, thought he was dying, and he wanted to see all of his children one last time. He was trying to bring them all home. Eliza didn't think he was dying right away, so she stayed put. It's 1744. He didn't marry somebody for a green card or citizenship because we're not even a country. So she married this guy out of love, and yes, she remained a widow after his death. Because remember, he's double her age, so he went first. Anyway, she was correct. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he started sending her gifts to this place. You guys have been in town for at least a few hours that I know. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. One of the gifts is some sort of plant seeds of indigo. Indigo to make a blue dye that makes the blue jeans blue. Some of you are wearing it tonight. That's how we still use it today. But when she got these seeds, she had no idea what to do with it. We wanted to study how to cultivate it in our weird temperatures because we always thought it was hot down here. Once she figured it out, she moved it to a plantation just north of here in Mount Pleasant. Calls her father and says, rice plantations are going downhill. We can actually make a killing with these indigo seeds. Now, we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Yes, that is the history of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why everybody's here. What do you got? You got a reading?
a couple of options for you.
Okay. I just seen it again. So you went up to about 15 milligauss. Okay, I'll be writing that one down. The weird stuff with Eliza. She's the second wife named Eliza from Charles, back to back. Very smart or very stupid, depending on how you look at it. So both Elizas, by the way, have a maiden name that starts with the letter L. That's the only clue I'm going to give you. So if you want to figure out which Eliza we're dealing with, ask what her maiden name is. By the way, both of these Elizas were only 5 months apart. The first Eliza died in 1744, January. He marries the second Eliza in May of the same year, only 5 months later. So, after his wife's death, no less. We're going to keep that. But as far as the mansion, it's obviously not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it. It's not standing. If you get an answer, ask what year that happened. I get it here all the time. Sometimes you have very specific things that come from that. Eliza's children. How many kids there were and what their names were. Pretty much that's it. Why? Tragedy among those kids. If you prove to bear too hard, all activity will stop, including a little bit of cleanup and forget about that. As far as Eliza's death, ask anyone how old she was, where she was buried, what she died from, what U.S. president was a pallbearer at her funeral. These are all very specific questions. As I'm sure you noticed, the yes and no part of this has gone out the window. We're going to hopefully, fingers crossed, get a lot of specifics. I will tell you that last night's investigation was probably the most I've seen out of this space in a long time. I'd like to keep that going. Please do not poke the bear with the children. So just names and how many, or you could just steer clear of it altogether. That would help too. But we are going to spread out in this lot. We're not going to go near any of the 3 vehicles that are here. We're fortunate enough where the lot's not full tonight. So just stay away from those vehicles. We're not going to be filming in anything specific about the cars, but everywhere else is fair game. We will stay within the confines of the lot. What terms have you had pop up?
I recently had Rapture.
Okay, that's weird. That showed up here a few nights ago too.
Yep. And then right now I have the word class.
Kind of vague. When I want to see the word list, or if you even want to look at it, hit the little white square right there. It'll pop up the whole list. You can scroll through it. did talk about the cadets that tried to steal the cash register. So, vague reference. Very vague. I would like something else to be able to verify that. And this pen is caught on my pocket. I'm trying to write all this stuff down, but my stupid pen is caught on the pocket. But I'm going to work with Amelia for just a few minutes. Trey, have you heard anything out of yours yet before we spread apart? Nothing? You'll get used to it. You're going to get better as the night goes on.
So like maybe we should like ask questions as we're walking around. Is that how that goes?
Yes. So pretty much there's 6 different spirit boxes out here right now. Plus we also have both cameras and my audio. We have 9 points of communication. Anybody can actually ask a question and the answer can go anywhere. So Trey might actually ask what happened to the mansion and Michelle might get the answer. We never know. That's why I like to throw as many communication devices at this as I possibly can, because you just never know where the answer is going to go. On television, unfortunately, they usually only like put out 1 device at a time, which to me is boring. Like you're sitting there waiting on 1 device, I want 5 to light up. Like that's the whole point of this. So the fact that you're getting a reading, Amelia, have you had any numbers show up on your screen yet?
Yeah.
What have you got?
Like 4 or 5.
Okay, so you've got a 4 or 5, and you're up to 15. Hang on, I'm still trying to get that stupid notebook out of my pocket. It's caught on a string. So. I'm going to remember what you, like the 904 I can remember, but remember that last set. So I can actually get squared away with it. No, it's lasers here. Yes, absolutely. Lasers here. No pressure.
I should do some camera work.
Yeah, lasers. Hope it doesn't do that again. Alright, so. These, I got a 4.
Should we go walk around?
Yeah, absolutely. Encourage it.
What was her name? Elijah? Elijah? Right? Was it Elijah?
Elijah?
What was her name?
I don't remember the
Lauren? Lauren.
wife.
What was the wife's name? Elijah? Elijah?
Elijah?
I don't know. What was her name?
Who? I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So what happened to the mansion? Any ideas? Can anybody tell us what happened to the mansion? There used to be a mansion here. What happened to the mansion? How many bedrooms were in the mansion?
How many people were in the family?
We're not supposed to ask about the kids, right?
No.
Huh?
We're not supposed to ask about
No.
the kids.
See any cold spots?
No.
No, this
Rochelle's
kept-
over there somewhere.
kept going over. Goes around here.
Picking up the garbage can.
Whoa! Right around here.
Whoa, I just got goosebumps.
Anything, Dad?
No.
I don't know what I'm supposed to take pictures of, like people or any cold spots there.
No.
We just had a 5 here.
So it went all the way to red?
Yeah.
So you maxed out. Crazy.
Yeah, it was right around here, right? I came through here twice.
And that usually will spike out somewhere in the space. And I'm going to explain more about what those readings
Good. Nothing, no cold spots yet, but
And again, with that,
Yeah,
it's more about
yeah.
the review.
yep.
Like it'll, because obviously I give it to you on a bigger screen than a cell phone, so
Yeah.
it's normally about the review with that camera.
This thing keeps spitting out words, man. It just had the number 8.
Really?
Yeah.
Are we warm or cold?
You're warm.
No cold places? I wanted to look through it again. See, this is where my thing kept making stuff here.
Yeah.
If something's cold, you toss it out of my...
You're gonna jump, right?
I just might do. Trash can is pretty cold.
Yeah. There's a piece of pavement or concrete right there. That's why it's that square is hot. Michelle walking.
There's always somebody in.
I
Yeah,
don't
reference.
know. Maybe I've been asking questions, but
Where?
like, I feel like I hear like someone else's like
Oh, it's
interjections.
that,
in.
Oh, it's the
The pallet.
thing against the
Pallet
wall.
leaning up against that.
That's bizarre. That's bizarre.
It doesn't sound like the same.
Did you see something?
With her Geiger counter, no, I haven't seen
Oh, okay.
No.
My water.
I don't know. We just walked over it. Really cold spot right there.
Interesting. What's to say the temperature of that is?
58 degrees.
Oh wait, is it?
Can. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a crushed aluminum can.
All I know is I'm walking around a parking lot talking to myself, asking questions. I'm hoping nobody's watching.
You should have another drink in your hand if you're going to do that.
That's right. I guess I have an excuse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap this up here in a minute after I do a round robin. Just because, I mean, in terms of their hearing, the text box, the red spirit box, they're not going to be touched. I'm not going to linger in a place where I'm not going to be able to verify a lot of things. But yeah, I'm going to give them another.
Okay.
Gotcha. It's just being very sensitive tonight. I don't know why. All right. Yeah, he's all right.
We're recording now. Yeah.
All right. What names did we hear along the way, guys? Catherine, I got. Nothing. Lauren, nothing. Michelle. Nothing out of yours.
The name Adam?
Adam. You know what's funny is Adam. There's a hamstring again.
Amelia?
Amelia. Yours are Email. Yours are writing them down for me, so I don't have to write them down.
Right.
Adam is a possibility, and Catherine's definitely a possibility. So the reason why I ask for names is because this is one of the first streets we ever had. Where's the red laser? Why is there a red laser bouncing off the wall? Oh, we're reflecting the water into that room.
They're reflecting off the concrete.
Yeah. So we might want to either get you to move to the other space just so it's not reflecting water. There was somebody in that hotel room, so I don't want to be reflecting green and red lights in there. So with this space, again, this is one of the first streets we ever had. We crossed that last crosswalk. We crossed over where the original Charlestown walls used to be. So I have the full list of residents of every person that's ever lived down here. It's not a very lengthy list, but I commonly hear the same two names over and over again every 6 to 7 weeks. Catherine and Adam are not those two names. So we're in every 6 to 7 weeks. I keep track of the loop. Right now we're in week 1 to 2 of that loop, but it doesn't mean that things won't occur. So I've seen things kind of anomalous find in between those loops, but the names I normally hear are Benjamin and John. Now Benjamin and John both lived here in 1801. That's 2 out of 5 people that actually lived here. So pretty good odds that it's the same Benjamin and John coming through every 6 to 7 weeks. Do I have anything significant about Benjamin or John? Nope. Anything significant about 1801? I don't. I just keep getting the same names over and over again, and a third name will often pop up. That name is Jane, a third person that lived here in 1801. Again, I can't find anything significant about these 3 people, but I do have a theory on why it keeps happening. The bricks you're standing on are called Belgian blocks. They're made of granite, or so we're told. So, granite is not supposed to hold any type of EMF field whatsoever. Amelia, I want you to put your device on a brick, and Miss Mouse, I want you to put your device on a brick. And I want to see if you guys get any type of reading out of it at all. Yours went all the way to 20. Do you have any numbers on yours yet? 1.9? That's slightly higher than the average of the Earth. Earth is normally about 1.1 when you get it that close to the ground. You're running about 15 to 20 milligauss right now. Like, that's crazy to me. So, some nights we've been doing this for the past couple weeks, like testing the bricks to see if it's actually going to hold any EMF activity. Some nights there's nothing. Other nights we have readings like what you just saw. Now, the 1.8, I'm not really going to count that as significant. I would normally expect like a 1 to 2. But again, all the way to 15 to 20, that's pretty crazy stuff. So, they say that bricks that have been in the same spot like this, especially granite because it comes straight from the earth, is supposed to hang on to the consciousness of memories and spit it back to us in, obviously, electronic devices like what you're using tonight. It's called the stone tape theory. It's been around for decades, probably a century at this point. Now, the stone tape theory, there's really no solid evidence proof out of it, but we keep testing it over and over and over again. And the fact that I'm here 7 nights a week, I can look at that loop and see where these names come from. Very interesting the things that we get out of this particular alley. Also because before people lived here, the Freemasons had a Masonic lodge here, hence the name Lodge Alley. So we will get terms wrapped around the Freemasons, including the word Illuminati. I know it sounds hysterical to hear that on a radio station, but that's my question. Who the hell's talking about the Illuminati on the radio? So that's what we're listening to at those radio stations. Second, why am I only hearing it in this space? 6 times last year, twice so far this year. Now again, can't make this stuff up, guys, and I chuckle every time I hear it because I'm not going to sit here and have a tour on conspiracy theories. It's just not going to be my thing, but it does pop up from time to time. They did do an archaeological dig on these bricks that we're standing on. They found some of the people, the residents, clothing, their tools, and some of their, silverware and types of things. They classify these people as lower class. It makes complete sense if you know the geography of Charleston. I told you that the wall went up Cumberland, but the other side of it was on the other side of East Bay Street, which means the smell of low tide would be coming through here quite often. The rich people of Charleston are not going to put up with that. If you've noticed down at the Battery, the houses are skinny in the front and they go long backwards. That's for a couple of reasons. First off, it keeps the smell of low tide out. Why? Because their front porch is on the side. We call it a piazza. They can put a front door on it. So that way it kind of gives it that facade look. It keeps the smell of low tide from coming into the house, but they open up their second story window. The cool air from the breeze comes over from the water. Cool air drops, heat rises. We're talking about old school air conditioning. That's the reason why those houses are angled at a specific way. The other reason is because you were taxed based on how much street side you took. Did you really?
Yeah.
You finally heard something and it's the craziest thing ever? Love it. That is so weird. And you have the one that's recorded.
Just like
That's- So that's 3 times this year. I stand corrected. Good job, Laura. So, but the taxes I was talking about. So the skinnier your house, the less taxes you're going to pay because you only pay taxes based on how much street side you took. So that's why they're long in the back, skinny in the front. The Pinckney Mansion that I just showed you a little while ago, the house stood broad against East Bay Street. First off, we have to talk about how much money these people had and the fact that the Pinckneys were mostly politicians. At least the men were, obviously. So they had lots of money and they're outside the city walls. If they were paying taxes at all, they had the money to be able to do it. They didn't care. It was about bragging rights to show off their beautiful home. So that's the history of this space. And yes, I lollygag here for things like Illuminati to pop up for us. So that was super rad. Thank you for that. The next space we're going to go to is another alley. However, I can't take you through it. Why? I've been kicked out. You guys have the blinky lights and the noisemakers and all of this, that kind of stuff, and it is considered residential at the end. So I cannot take you all the way through it. We will, however, talk about that alley outside of it because it still stirs up enough activity to last through the rest of the evening. We won't venture far from that space, so we actually get clues to it the rest of our time together, which is super cool. Last night, we actually had, it was the other space that was super, connected to what everybody was hearing. They were hearing things about that alley in this space. We are on her there, and it's only half a block away. So what's going to happen is if we exit this alley, I want the videos to stop because we're going to be cutting through a neighborhood in order to get to that space. Those of you with noisemakers, so Jake and Rochelle, I want you to mute or turn yours down once we exit the alley. Normally I'll have you do that in here just so we're not disrupting, but we've been fine. It wasn't actually too bad on yours at all. So, and definitely no lasers as we exit the alley, just so you guys know.
Migraine.
What's that?
Migraine.
Is that what you heard?
Yeah. You have a headache?
I don't. Anybody else? Okay. Well, let's not sit here and develop one. Let's go on to the next space. Let's go do this. Yeah, if you want to almost be like the last one out to get some long shots of the alley for everybody, that would be cool.
Okay, okay.
Just stay in the alley by yourself.
I'll just stay home by myself with the Illuminati. Maybe.
Good luck. Okay.
We're leaving her behind, right?
Drop a breadcrumb.
So a lot of these rocks, these came over, they were used as ballast in the ships.
Slave
So
ships.
So they would empty the ballast
Right.
and then load the ship and bring it back. And that's how they made the runs.
You were right on top of it before you saw it. It's funny.
Well, your mom was
Behind
taking
the alley.
photos.
If you wanted to take her under here, but instead of listening to yours, you can do that. Because I know yours is harder so much.
I don't know. I think I've been doing okay with it.
You have been, but the other way is actually we're gonna wait for everybody to catch up. Did we really lose them back there that far? Oh, yeah,
There
they're
they are. Really?
Spend a lot of time.
So, cameras, I do want you in the middle. So, Mr. Walt, I think you're still recording. I'm going to
Yep.
have you guys stand against the wall, execution style. So, yeah, absolutely. Look at that. You guys follow direction real quick on that one. So,
A solid 3 now.
it's because we're standing on electrical lines underneath the
That would
sidewalks.
do it.
Yep, exactly. So I'm super excited about the 15 milligauss that came out of that. I'm very excited about Illuminati showing up. There's Lauren, because she finally heard something. And the fact that it was Illuminati and proved my point will make it even that much better when you guys get that recording back tomorrow. So what have we heard along the way here? Anything before I get started? Graduating. Yeah, Charleston I throw away because you're listening to Charleston radio stations. Anybody else? Any words on yours come up?
Odd stuff. Center, depict, generate, and bear. B-A-R-E.
B-A-R-E. Yeah, I got nothing on that.
Ashes.
When we were still in the alley or on our way out?
It was when we were in the alley.
Because there were plenty of fires that occurred down
Yeah.
there. So, again, a slight relation. So, I won't get super excited about that like Illuminati. Sorry, Lauren's is
It's
better.
okay.
So, space behind me. For those of you with video cameras, so Eric, very inconspicuously, I want you to film the alley behind me. Again, we're going to see other tours going in and out of there. Those large groups of 20 that I spoke about earlier, we're getting into the more popular areas. They didn't pay to be filmed, you all did. So perfect, look at you, you're on top of it. Walt, you're on it. So I may even send some video cameras down here tonight if it remains empty. We'll find out. just to kind of see. But this is the alley I've been booted out of, but I'll get into that after I tell you the history of the location, because yes, that's the fun part of the story of why Nick got in trouble. So this space is called Philadelphia Alley now. It used to be called Duelers Alley because this is where all of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Not all of them, but a good portion of them. So we all tell the story of one specific duel because we can actually prove that it happened. I told the story a lot differently than every other tour because you guys need more details because you're ghost hunting. So let's get into it. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Joseph Brown Ladd. He moves down here because his fiancée, Amanda, just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that the doctor's just after Amanda's money, so he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. So the doctor moved to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. He's going to make his own. The coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody walking by, seeing what was going on, his name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph for a moment because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from. R.I. Ralph Isaacs, Rhode Island. It often shows up here, but I need the secondary clue so that way we know who it actually belongs to, because those are the two main characters so far, the doctor and Ralph. So, the two become friends and the doctor's practice starts to take off. Well, I guess I skipped the part, didn't I? Ralph says, you don't want to go in there because this guy's going to try to kill you, but I got some friends at 59 Church Street that you can rent a room from. The doctor then takes him up on the offer, they become friends. The doctor's making his own money now, which means Amanda's moving down soon. He's, obviously doing pretty well for himself. He becomes known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you will ever visit in the future has a cliched whistling ghost. Ours is a doctor, and it actually works here, and I'm going to get into why. So, Ralph and the doctor go see plays together, but they cannot sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the way the hierarchy worked back then. He gets better seats. They talk about these plays on the way home. One night they go see William III from Shakespeare and they start arguing over the new actress that was in town. The doctor thought she was fantastic, Ralph not so much. So the argument gets a little bit more heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée Amanda back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph is from here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper. He puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. The doctor sees the ad in the paper and rebuttals with, let's go to Duelers Alley. Somebody's going to die. We're going to settle this. So they come down, they take their 10 paces, they turn. The doctor pointed his gun in the air and he shot. He did not want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to a fight, which is often what happened at a duel, by the way. But Ralph has his one shot. Sorry, Eric. He puts it in the kneecap on the doctor. He doesn't die either, but he falls to the ground. His friends pick him up, carry him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. You have to remember that this guy was a doctor. He probably tried to bleed it out himself. So the whole ghost story part of this is that they say as you walk through the alley, you can actually hear the whistles from the doctor. This is where I used to take my tours down there. We didn't have earbuds for the spirit boxes yet. It was about listening to the regular audio. What I want you to keep in mind, if you're going to do this on your own and turn on the voice recorder from your cell phones and listen to it later, every local knows the story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night on my way home from hanging out with you guys. We're going to end up there. My garage is right there, which means I have to pass the alley. If my 15-year-old daughter's on the tour, which she often is, we often race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. It's just to mess with the other tours because I've been booted out. So here's why I got booted out of there. That's the fun part, right? So this alley did not always come all the way through. So this side was blocked off here on Cumberland Street, which means the bricks on the other side are older. They're sun-dried bricks from slave children. Very sad, but we do have a full handprint from a slave child and fingerprint swipes in some of those bricks on the other side. And I don't treat that brick as if we're going to get activity out of it. I treat it the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. However, taking a group of 10 people down there with the devices you're holding right now, they're going to try. So, one night, November 26th of 2020, yes, I remember the date very specifically because it's relevant. Everybody's huddled around that one brick with the handprints in it. It's right outside a gentleman's dining room window. He come out screaming because I'm not supposed to be there. And he was in the right, I was in the wrong. Played the new guy card and I moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving of that year, November 27th, so I did not have a tour. I worked in retail for over 20 years. I finally took a Thanksgiving off. I'm sure you could feel my pain. However, the next day was Black Friday, November 28th of 2020. I get a phone call from the tourism office asking me to go down halfway like everybody else or to reroute my tour. I decided I'm going to reroute the tour because it's not fair for 10 people to try to investigate half the space with 20 to 60 other people in there from the other tours. I told my team, we're going to wing it. We're going to see what happens. I don't believe in this story, and I've been told that it's true, so we're going to find out what happens. I did not tell them who we were going to be investigating or what we were going to be investigating. Somebody hears the name Anne on a spirit box before we leave. We are going to be talking about Anne Bonny, the famous female pirate, over at the Powder magazine. Once we get into the space and I told them what I knew, which was very little at the time, somebody else hears the number 300, and I don't know what it means. So I research it the next day. We were there on November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. There was a reason why I've been booted out of this alley, and it was to go investigate Anne Bonny. I am not a pirate person. I'm a vampire guy through and through. I have read more books on piracy since that day than I care to remember, just because I keep trying to piece it all together. That will be our last stop, but we do have one in between. So what I will tell you about the, investigation of a pirate is that it is hit or miss. We never know what we're going to get. We'll know within the first 5 minutes of the activity that we're getting out of it if it's going to be relevant or not, because again, Anne is said to be seen all over town. So have we seen anything on our devices? Have we heard anything before we move to our next space?
Nope.
All right. Silence is not compliance at this point because we're looking for evidence. So, all right, let's head up to the next spot. Keep listening to your spirit boxes. Those of you with cameras, if you want to venture down there for a little walk, we're literally going to go up to that corner and make a left, and I'm going to continue us. But if you guys want to venture off and only go halfway, that would be super cool if you would like. I normally don't do this, but if you want to venture off, by all means do so. And you'll know where we're at. We'll be around the corner.
Okay. Cameras.
Yeah. Easy.
It smells good down here.
This thing froze up.
Taking pictures?
No, it's frozen.
Yours is
Probably go
frozen?
further. Yeah. I'm gonna try to reboot it.
Do you have me in there for reference?
Yep.
I've only been here during the day.
Oh yeah. So you've walked up this?
How far do we want to keep going?
I don't know. Does it turn right up here somewhere?
No, it doesn't. It just goes all the way through the other street.
Oh, okay.
So, how far do you want to go down?
I
Yours?
think it's really pretty good. I can't see it. It's locked up. It's not doing anything for me.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
Alright.
you have to reboot it or anything.
Got gardenias.
Hmm.
There's
Gardenias.
Gardenias out behind our house. It smells so good right now.
Hopefully they're still there when we get them.
Yeah, the Powder magazine's straight ahead on the left, so he said like he was making a.
Just a cold, empty aluminum can we found on the ground.
That's the Powder magazine there.
In fact, is all he got. All right, so he won't need to record until we get across the street.
Is that it?
Over here with the crosses on it, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. In the event we have another earthquake like what we did in 1886, they say you can turn those earthquake bolts because they're turnbuckles, and it'll straighten the building back up again. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. I only bring these up is because these are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in. Why? Because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this building is familiar to Anne Bonny. She was here at the same time that this building was being constructed. So, the Charlestown Wall that we spoke of earlier, I'll give you a little bit more on this building because it's super cool stuff to me at least. So, the wall stood where that garage is right now. It went up Cumberland Street, past the powder magazines, then started going south behind me towards the battery. It puts the gunpowder magazines in the corners of the wall, fortified, protected as far away as they can within the city walls. So that way, if it gets attacked by Revolutionary warships or pirate ships, those cannonballs are going to have a hard time getting through the 35-inch thick walls. We're going to pretend that it does. The cannonball shoots, it goes through, blows up the gunpowder. There's sand in the roof that was put there during its construction that is designed to go up in the air with the explosion and fall to put out the fire of the gunpowder. The sand is still there, so the sand does not disintegrate. I will tell you, though, that is a great theory that also doesn't work. We had another powder magazine closer to the battery, and it actually blew up, and the sand went up in the air, but it failed to put out the fire. This one's just never been attacked. It has served in 7 different wars in 1 rebellion. So, if you want to ever get out of our heat or our cold, it's a great $5 to spend on a 30-minute tour. I'm not an advocate for the building, I just find it absolutely fascinating. Again, this was the story I did not believe, because I've been here dozens of times and never had any activity. So, let's talk about, again, why we're here. Anne Bonny. This building took 10 years to build. Doesn't sound like our government. 10 years, small building? No, not our government. But anyway, our story actually begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708, a young lady moves here by the name of Anne Cormack. She's with her father and his mistress. The mistress is her mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a lot of twists in this one. The 3 of them are running away from his wife. How angry was she? Just saying, you gotta get on a boat and leave your country. They land in Georgetown. Dad buys a plantation, mom dies pretty quickly, which means he has to send young Anne down here to Charlestown to be able to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat. Now, young Anne back home in Ireland was kind of a badass. They say she actually killed one of her servants with a knife to the belly when she was only like 10 or 12 years old. Like, little girl killed a servant kind of mentality. So I want you to have the mentality of this young lady as we go through the whole story. Fast forward. Building's done in 1713. Pirates are coming through town in 1715. Anne falls in love pretty quickly. She's about 16, 17 years old at this time. First guy that she falls in love with, yes, I'm going to keep tally. His name is James Bonny. Now you can already see where this one's going. What was that? That was...
Yeah, it sounded like it said Bonnie.
It did sound like it said Bonnie. That's why I stopped talking. I was like,
Yeah.
holy cow. So hopefully there's a piece of audio somewhere that picked that up. That'll be really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, Dad doesn't approve of James Bonny because he's a filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormack becomes Anne Bonny, the lady we talked about earlier. So, when they get down there, this is not the swashbuckling, rum-drinking Captain Jack Sparrow that they were hoping for. So this guy is a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward in Anne's eyes. So she falls in love again a few years later. Guy number 2. Guy number 2 turns out to be John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the Captain Jack Sparrow that they actually based the character off of. So his name wasn't Jack Sparrow, but to get my point. Calico Jack has his own ship, and Anne wants to be part of it. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew because girls are bad luck on a ship. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. He's the captain. That's how it's going to go. So let's put 2 and 2 together. Anne being a female in his quarters, she's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a female. He drops her off from Cuba, go have the baby. These are friends of mine, and come back later, we'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but comes back with no baby. We have no idea what happened to this child. She's also dressed like a female. While she's away, Captain Calico Jack actually captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. Anne's going to go flirt because that's what Anne does. Guy number 3. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack just captured. So now we have 2 females on the same ship dressed like guys to be pirates. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. Her and Mary become friends, possibly lovers, we'll never know for certain, and Mary becomes part of the crew. The British find out where they are. They send their entire fleet of ships to take down 1 pirate ship. Now, Anne and Mary are the only 2 not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks because they don't know how to use the cannons. Obviously, the ship's going to get taken. As for being arrested, she looks at her captain and her bow, Calico Jack, and says, "You should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog." The word dog will show up on your spirit boxes all the time here. So, the judge, his name's Nicholas Laws. He wants to see the 2 men that fought back so valiantly because the other pirates were all drunk and didn't come up and fight. He's already tried and hung them. They're gone, including Calico Jack. The 2 ladies go in front of the judge, and they reveal their gender, hoping to be saved. He doesn't care that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. We plead our bellies was the last thing they said, meaning they're both claiming to be pregnant. He delays the hanging because you cannot hang a pregnant woman at 1720. It's illegal. So they're back in jail. Dad is back here in Charlestown with all his Irish money. He brings Anne back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, guy number 4, because she's out Mary Reed. And she has 4 children and dies at the age of 83. Yes, very abrupt end. I know. Mary Reed dies a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Take that for what it's worth. Scurvious, bumpy, gross, whatever your imagination wants to come up with. Now, as far as the investigating the space, I only left out 2 things I can actually prove for certain. Those 2 questions are the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That would be the father and the mistress. The name of Calico Jack's ship I left out on purpose as well. Now, before we spread out and start using our devices in this crazy spot, I'm going to leave a little bit of a story here of why I give the heated warning at the beginning of every single tour. Back in September, it's way cooler than this. I bring my tour back here, and the kid next to me goes literally white as a ghost. So I have to pick him up by his armpit so he doesn't hit his head on the concrete. His boyfriend picks him up from the other side. We get him over to that wall, and we get him feeling better after a bottle of water, yada, yada, yada. I start telling the story. It's important to know that they don't know the story that you now know. Once I spread everybody out with their devices, they pull me aside and tell me that they are 2 transgender males, meaning I had 2 females dressed as males, just like Anne and Mary in the story, and it made sense to them as to why one of them passed out the minute we entered the space. These are the uncanny things that happen on my tour. I am a writer. I have a master's degree in writing. I can't make this stuff up. Like, seriously, like, this is like holy cow moments for me. So when these things do happen, that I have to pay attention to it, obviously. So those of you with cameras, you can go to the front of the powder magazine. That does include lasers. So you can shoot them into the front lawn of the powder magazine, which means you guys would have to exit the lot and make a left. Just don't get in the way of the other tours. You can also go back to St. Philip Cemetery to go put your cameras inside the cemetery, see if we can get any footage in there. You can point your lasers, but again, keep them pretty close, so that way you're not going back to the building back there. It's a very interesting space. We're going to see what happens. I'm going to go chill out by the wall, because you guys all know what you're doing by now, and I'll rein us all back in about 5 to 8 minutes and kind of see what's going on. If things were super great, we'll hang out for another 3 to 4 minutes. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up and get you guys out of this humidity, because everybody's sweating to death. I can see it all over everybody's faces. So let's spread out. Let's have some fun. Last stop. Let's do this.
Let's head over there to this building. Little guy.
What do you think, Walt?
Nothing at all, really, but it's been working at least. So
So what's your take on all of these devices? You think we caught anything tonight? It's been kind of light, I'll be honest. Just based on what everybody's
I
hearing.
don't know. It's pretty neat as far as what they've been picking up with the audio stuff.
Mm-hmm. I guess based on my normality of what I normally see, it's a little lighter than
Is
my
it?
normal, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm always honest with you guys. Like, I'm not here to make shit up.
Has anybody actually picked up anything on the FLIR though?
Oh yeah.
Like a cold image?
Hmm? You want to
That'd
see
be
something?
pretty cool.
Come on,
Yeah.
come on over, I'll show you. So I save a couple of them on the tablet just because I get questions about it all the time. Because again, it's not always in the moment type
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I'm not foreign to these. We use them all the time at work for our electrical
No. Good on you,
scanning
man.
for hotspots.
Let me find a good one. So this one, you're going to be looking behind the folks here
Yep.
in the background. Obviously the cameraman wasn't super steady, but you're going to see 3 figures show up behind them. Right about there. Ah, lost it. There's eventually 3 heads that kind of take shape. That's at the Pinckney Mansion site.
Yeah.
There was only 3 adult children, because remember, baby George
Yep.
died. So that's one of them that I was like, okay, I got that one, even though it's not the very coldest spot in the
Right,
frame.
right.
I'll take it. So I'm going to get out of this screen, go to the next one. This one was caught by an 8-year-old girl. I love this one. So this is obviously the figure you're going to be seeing. But, oh, that's a screenshot. Screenshot of behind the video. So it obviously gets, like whatever that is, it starts off very small.
Yep.
Bigger, and eventually we have a cold face.
It's moving right towards him. Yeah.
You can see how it gets bigger. The video is very shaky, so
Maybe just only some previous pickups.
Oh.
yeah, that was caught just a few months ago. That one was amazing. I was surprised because again, an 8-year-old girl, like she's down this low, she's
Yeah.
walking and she captures this person walking right at us. It was awesome. This is where the new camera that Eric is using. So this is exactly where we're standing. Obviously, you can recognize the crosses there, the bolts. But you'll see the orb come through here. It takes a second because I had to slow down the video to be able to study it.
Yeah.
Changes direction, goes all the way up. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know, what's this one? So I have evidence galore. Oh, this one, Lodge Alley,
Yeah.
shows up right down here. That one also takes a second.
We're
It's
looking
real
for someone named Luke.
Yep, I saw it. See it?
Yep.
I don't know who the hell Luke is.
Wayne has Jason.
750. And then the other one. So I asked like what the first letter of their name were.
We don't get the name of the ship yet.
That's crazy. 750. Lauren, you got anything? You got anything?
I haven't really caught anything.
Any more come up on yours? I got a couple of names. What you got? I like harvest because sometimes their crops would show up, which would obviously be like sugar, obviously coming from the Jamaican area. But,
Where?
Mm-hmm.
I keep thinking I see something like right in there.
Straight ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, like right. It's like against that wall. Right around where she was. Maybe it's like a shadow next to
Right.
Rochelle. Maybe it's just the way it kind of. find it. It's amazing. The stones are all still so warm.
Yeah. Like you said, if you're dead, you don't want to hang out at your gravesite.
Right. It goes cruise around everywhere. Somebody could be walking by to visit somebody. You know, you never know. Can you adjust like the temperature part of it, or?
I don't know if you can. Probably not. The scale is just, you know.
Oh, so the camera's on this thing?
Yeah, it's over here on that side. The lens.
What?
All right.
Happens all the time here. And you get the full phrase. Like, it's not just girls for fun. Like, you get girls just want to have fun.
Is this Cindy Lauper?
It's probably the original.
The statement?
Airplane.
They didn't have
Yeah, they're actually hearing the song.
Back then.
But it's the fact that I get that here all the time.
I gotcha.
So, interesting. Rochelle, you got anything?
I heard good night.
Oh, so that should be our cue, right?
That's the only thing I heard when I was over there.
Wow. Okay. So I'm excited about Girls Just Want to Have Fun that Trey and Amelia heard because I hear it here all the time. And I mean, can actually attest for it because we were just talking about it ahead of time. So pretty much really the only thing that I see that might actually be relevant in this space. So tonight, full investigation overall, just from a consensus of what we're looking at, it's pretty light. I'm not going to lie. I'm not one of those people that's going to hide things and make shit up just for you guys to say that, you know, wow, he really blew that one up. There's nothing there. But we never know what we're going to actually capture in the morning because, again, I'm going to spot check all of this stuff. Oh, Illuminati is probably the most exciting thing of the night, just so you know. So I'm hoping I can capture that and give you guys the marker for that in the morning. But I am going to go through the two quick answers of the two questions that I gave you. It seems like everybody kind of wandered to go to the other cemeteries at front, so I appreciate all of that. And getting us some footage of Philadelphia Alley, that's not something I normally do. So again, you guys venturing off and me going around the corner, like that's not something I normally do. So, but yeah, let's get into what the actual answers to these questions are as soon as I can get.
Nothing for the boat?
Got what?
No, I was just asking if you got anything.
Challenge? I don't know.
Challenge? Is that what you got?
I just got challenge.
So whenever we get words like that, I still relate it back to Philadelphia Alley. Oh, we did get the initial I. So, and then he had the word alley relatively close by. So you asked for an initial, and you got the letter I to Ralph Isaacs, and he gets the word alley. So again, close relation. Am I like, oh my God, super excited about it? Not necessarily. I'm going to wait to see what else comes up around this tower. It's just being finicky tonight. I don't know if it's the humidity or what it's doing. This might be like the thermal imaging camera that we keep breaking, right?
We? All right, thanks. Thought it was just me. Thanks. I'm glad everybody's taking.
Hey, I'm taking some credit for that.
We won't.
Well, this is just not. Really acting. So I'm going to give you the answers anyway without the pictures because it's just not wanting to flip over after I show the videos, which is super weird. Anne Bonny's parents were named William Cormack and Mary Brennan. None of you were expecting a secondary Mary, so that's why I throw that question out at you. Remember, Mary was the lover as well. So we have Mary Reed and Mary Brennan. As far as Calico Jack, he was named Calico Jack because of the jackets that he wore. So he's a very dapper, young, filthy pirate. He stole those jackets from the men he killed, namely British captains. So kind of keep that in mind. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. So do I expect Kingston to come through a spirit box? No. But the word king will actually suffice here if it actually pops through. So, again, a little bit of a later night. So we'll kind of see what happens. I don't hide any investigation. That is actually going to stay on the website for an entire year. I keep it up there on purpose. That way, in case you guys want to go back and see what happened on a specific date, by all means, it's still up there. If I had a tour that night, you can see what actually occurred. So, with that said, this is the last day of the month. You all are very lucky. Why? Because the newest tour of the month always goes at the top. This is the last day of the month, and I separate it by month. So this way you guys won't have to scroll through other tours to be able to get to your data. I make everything downloadable, so all of your videos will go to YouTube. That way you guys can save them that way. All of the audio pieces will be MP3s. Right-click them. You can download them. And of course, you're going to have tons of notes and links that you can copy and paste. Again, I never know what I'm going to find in the morning. But again, listening to spirit boxes is not an easy task, as I'm sure most of you figured that out tonight and learned how to get better at it. So we'll kind of see what comes up out of the morning. And as far as the laser work, we actually got a lot of laser work out of this tonight. So maybe we'll get some anomalies that pop through there. We'll never know. Maybe we just missed them in the video. So, what other questions do you guys have as I start collecting devices? Are you guys going to get quiet on me now?
Primary part.
Primary party. Oh, awesome. That's why I bought the upgrade. This crazy thing loves to lock up. Michelle, yours goes
Oh,
next.
really?
Yeah.
What's that?
I'm getting a lot of like blessed God.
Yeah, still near St. Philip's Church again. And even when I give you guys like the data back tomorrow morning, a lot of it might just be first-hand clues for you guys to continue the investigation. So, but yeah, religious terms around here, around the church, very, very common. So, sir, nice work. This word list is actually pretty decent.
They got a bunch.
So 85 terms total. We'll see how much of that's actually going to be relevant. How many pictures? 3,000? Right, 3,000. Perfect. Keep me busy in the morning, right? So I'm normally done with all of your data by noon, just so everybody kind of has a gist of that. If I have to dive into more things than I have to, than I normally do, that's not normally a drop length, then it might take me a little bit longer. So be a little bit patient with me. Yeah, I'll take care of it, no worries. And yours. Nice work, by the way. The 40 was also another big piece of our night that we had over at the Pinky Mansion site. So that's obviously something that was going on over there. But as far as, like I said, the data, I'm normally done by noon, and hopefully I can get this thing to